the books got around for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is a debut author and she's offering her book, Benita the Brave. No other than Miss Rebecca Vickers. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Rebecca. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Daniel. I'm Rebecca. I am the author of Benita the Brave and the co-founder of Bright Heart Books, along with my husband who supported me along the way and was just a wonderful source of encouragement through this process. I have always loved children's literature, and as a kid, I grew up reading stories and reading books, and I never really thought of myself as a children's author. My background is in theater and performance, and I work in marketing and operations. So, as you can imagine, Daniel, I have a rich and varied background, and a large part of that is storytelling. So, it's been a part of my life for years and years and years. And one day I had this inspiration from a friend. She recently passed away from cancer, but before her passing, she was such an inspiration and such a living, breathing example of what it means to have courage and be brave and live out your passion and love other people and just take such good care of your friends and your family. And so I wanted to honor Benita in a way that didn't focus on the sad part, the cancer and the illness, but focus on what she did best, being a beautiful ice skater and someone who had that courage and loved life. And so, about 6 months or so before she went into hospice, I had started writing the book and I was able to show it to her. Actually, the day she went to hospice, I was able to present the book to her in its first draft. And over the next final 6 months, she did sadly pass away before it was published, but she saw all the illustrations, she knew the story, and she just loved that the story was out there and would be a small piece of her legacy.
Miss Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And what inspired you to write Benita the Brave?
Well, like I said, it was my friend Benita. She was the major source of inspiration. However, my own sort of foibles and lack of ability when it comes to ice skating was the inspiration for the story itself. So when I was about 6 years old, I thought that I wanted to be an ice skater. I fought to get ice skating lessons, and my parents very willingly obliged. It didn't take much to pitch that to them. And I think I was probably mostly inspired by the Olympics and all the wonderful ice skaters there. And so I finally got an ice skating lesson and we went to the rink, my dad and my brother. He was a little baby at the time. And I put on the skates. We found the ones that would fit me and they put us out on the ice. We were a small group. And the teacher asked us to hold on to the wall of the rink and skate around the rink, and I could not reach the wall. So Daniel, I was struggling to reach this wall. I kept like falling down onto the ice, and eventually I slid into the center and I started crying. And the skating teacher had skated off. She was not at all like the skating teacher in my book. I positioned my book skating teacher to be a little bit more positive and a lot more encouraging. But my actual skating teacher, she skated off. The other kids all skated away. Eventually, the skating teacher found me. My dad came running down from the bleachers with my brother, and he got me. We went home. So that was sort of the end of it for my skating abilities. But I was able to use that story and then apply it to Benita and apply her joy and her courage and her bravery to that story to make it a little bit more special and positive for kids and encouraging for young folks, whatever they're looking to do in life, to have that courage and have that bravery to get up and try again.
How did you develop the worlds of setting in which Benita the Brave takes place?
Well, I think Daniel, it's very it comes naturally. I don't want to say it's easy, right? Because I think that a lot of us as creatives, we have doubt that will creep in and it will sort of prevent us maybe from moving forward. We'll get paralysis or we'll keep going back and forth and editing our words. And I certainly did a lot of that in the first 6 months of writing until I felt like I had the right voice and I had the right story structure and I was communicating in a way that kids can understand and appreciate and parents can feel grateful for and proud of. And so the writing was definitely a lot more editing than actual writing, but it was a lot easier for me because I was drawing from my own world and what I experienced. And then I knew the outcome that I wanted for the book. I wanted Benita to be brave. I wanted her to get back and actually be an ice skater. I wanted that encouragement in the book. So I had a really good structure already, being able to pull from what I know and knew. And then my friend Benita, I actually named the ice skater after Benita, the protagonist of the story. But then I also had the illustrator illustrate the ice skating teacher to be very similar and look and feel like the Benita, my friend that I knew, because she also was not just an ice skater, but she also taught ice skating. So I wanted to have as much of my friend Benita interwoven into the story as possible. So I was very fortunate. I had a lot to pull on from my past and my present, and then the hope of what I would love for kids and parents to take away from the book.
Interesting indeed, Miss Rebecca, and truly empowering. How did you develop the worlds of setting, which is Benita and the Brave take place, where uh, people will empower more?
So I wanted to keep it a little bit simpler for children's sake so that there wasn't a whole lot of back and forth between too many locations. I kept it central to her home and the ice skating rink and a park. So there are really only three locations, very simple, a little bit less emphasis on the location itself and more emphasis on the story, what's happening with Benita, and how she's feeling so that children can connect with her on that level and understand. And the world itself, similar to the storyline, a lot easier to piece together. And I would say that my illustrator, Natty, she's the one that really helped bring it to life with her visuals and have fun colors and just dynamic approach to the illustrations so that kids can enjoy the story, but also have some really great illustrations to look at while they're reading or while they're being read to.
What was your creative process like while writing this book, Miss Rebecca?
That's a great question. So I wanted to have the whole story written out before I actually worked on the illustrations. And it took me about 3 months to find an illustrator that I really, really connected with and loved what she was able to accomplish. She really took my vision and what I was looking for. I gave her some really rough examples of what I think Benita would look like and what she could accomplish with her own skills and abilities. And so it took me about 2 months first to write the story, and then I had the illustrator work on the illustrations. It took her about 3 to 4 months roughly to have all of the illustrations completed. And then I went back and I did a lot more editing, Daniel. I actually formatted my own book. I had the illustrator do a preliminary formatting, and then I formatted my own book. I used my graphic design and marketing background to start piecing together my website and my marketing materials while she was working on the illustrations. So we were always working on one thing at a time. And I kept it very strategic so that it also aligned with where we needed to be in time to publish the book by the beginning of this year.
Did you draw inspiration from any other books, movies, or real life figures for Benita the Brave?
Apart from my friend, there really wasn't anything from another book or a movie. I say that, but I'm sure that subconsciously, Daniel, there's probably something that I have read before that might resemble or be similar to another book. I grew up reading the Amelia Bedelia books as a kid, Curious George, and I think there's an element that all great storytelling, and I'm not saying that I'm a great storyteller, I'm not trying to compliment myself, but I think there's something to all the great storytellers that we know and have loved that can sort of influence us and influence our love for storytelling. And so I aspire to be a storyteller that can capture the hearts and minds of children in a way that inspires them and encourages them. And I'm sure people might find some parallels or resemblances because I love children's literature so much. But I couldn't think of anything that has really inspired other than my own experience and my friend Benita.
How do you decide on the title, and what does brave mean to you in the context of this story?
Oh, I love that question. Well, I wanted to honor my friend. I wanted to have her name be a part of the title. And she would always talk about her cancer journey as being strong. And I wanted to be able to capture that, but in a way that children could understand and connect with it on all levels and in all types of situations. So I love the alliteration of Benita and Brave, the B. It just it's a wonderful sort of vehicle in literature, having that alliteration. It's memorable, and the word brave is easier for kids to understand too. For me, when it comes to being brave, it's about having that courage to do something that we might be afraid of, and there might be some challenges or roadblocks in our way, and we find the resourcefulness and the persistence to overcome them. And when anyone reads the book, they'll see that it's not just Benita learning that on her own. She has a support system, and especially her father. Her father is a great support to her, and he helps her learn that lesson that sometimes things can be scary, like falling down, and we pick ourselves back up. That's what it can mean to be brave. We can have that strength within ourselves, and at the same time, we also need that encouragement from those around us.
How do you balance action, character development, and themes in Benita the Brave, Miss Rebecca?
Yeah, so I didn't approach that from the beginning as something that I needed to focus on. First, I cared about telling the story of the person, of Benita. And there are different ways that you can approach storytelling. And sometimes folks want to balance all of those elements and have equal weight to all of them. For me, it was really most important that the story came through and the character came through. So for me, it was about having a really complete story and having a complete and lovable character that kids can resonate with. So I focus primarily on the character of Benita, the characters around her, and then the plot itself, the structure of the story. And then through that, Daniel, it all sort of fell into place. And while there's some emphasis on location, the theme itself is strong throughout because I did pay a lot of attention to the structure, and I made sure that as I was telling the story, we came back to the idea of being brave and that encouragement factor that's in there too. So I would say that a lot of it flows naturally. But for me, the primary importance was making sure that that character was strong, and then the story flowed from that.
Are there a secondary character in the book who hold a special place in your heart?
Yeah, so Benita's father holds that place for her. He's that encouraging figure. He was there with her, giving her her ice skates for her birthday in the beginning. He takes her to her first ice skating lesson, and then he devises a way for her to build up that courage and strength to learn how to skate through a different method. And then he brings her to her next skating lesson where she succeeds and she gets stronger and better at not just having the skating lesson, but also building that courage. And for my friend Benita, she had a very close relationship with her father. I actually didn't realize some more of the similarities that came across when she was reading the story. It reminded her even more of her childhood than I could ever have known. So it was very serendipitous writing a story that connected with the inspired person, the real life person, as well as connecting to my own story too.
Interesting indeed, Miss Rebecca. As an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, I would love to continue the Benita series with at least one or two more books. And then I don't know if this is ironic or not, but I have been thinking up many different children's stories for years now. And this is the one that needed to be born and happen first for several reasons. So now that I have Benita and I have a copy on my desk because it's my encouragement now and my inspiration to continue, I want to continue other children's stories that capture their hearts and minds in various ways. I have a story inspired by some adventures with my pets. I have some other stories that are inspired by other people that I know who've been a great source of friendship and encouragement to me. So I'm not done, Daniel. I like to say God's not finished with me yet. There's more storytelling that I have left to do, and I want to make sure that Bright Heart Books, as my in-house publishing company, is something that can grow and develop and just be a source of great storytelling for all sorts of ages, but especially for children who are looking for that inspiration and encouragement themselves.
Looking forward for that, Miss Rebecca, and looking for the success for all the books coming.
Thank you.
And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an author like you?
I would say this is really hard. It's easier said than done. But if you have an idea, put it down on paper and start writing. And if you don't like to write by hand, start typing it out. If it's easier, start speaking it into notes for yourself and start crafting your story. Most of writing, and it's not original for me to say this, most of writing is actually editing. So even though I'm a recovering perfectionist, Daniel, and I wanted to have a very perfect draft. I did not have that in the beginning. And so the hurdle for me, the challenge was getting the words on paper and being okay with editing my work. And so for anyone that's looking to write and tell a story, whether it's from your own experience or from your imagination or otherwise, start, just start. Easier said than done, I know, but start and then have a plan for yourself, because it is also easy to start and then let a project fall by the wayside. So set small manageable goals for yourself to be able to accomplish that, and that's going to that's going to be an amazing impact for yourself once you start to see that story take shape, and once you make that commitment to your goals. That's what helped me, so hopefully that'll help others as well.
Definitely. And stop procrastinating, people. If you have the passion to write, and share to the world. And Miss Rebecca, can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yeah, so I love Peter Pan. That is one of my ultimate favorites by J.M. Barrie. And it's a very deep book. It's not just a children's book. I think adults will get a lot more out of that as well. But we think of it often as a children's story as well. But I love Peter Pan. I also love for kids. I think the Amelia Bedelia stories are great. They're wonderful, fun, quirky series of books. And then for me, I also love reading history books as well. So I'm currently reading or rereading David McCullough's 1776, another fascinating book. I just love books, Daniel, if you can't tell. So I love to pull from a wealth of different inspiration. One of the books that I recommend for folks who are in leadership positions is Kim Scott's Radical Candor, another great book for different reasons. So I actually have a book list on my Amazon. If you follow me on Amazon as well as an author, you can see all the books that I recommend that have inspired me and encouraged me to write in various ways. So feel free to connect with me online and reach out, and I'd be happy to share other recommendations or encouragement if folks are getting started in their authorship journey.
Thank you so much for your recommendations, Miss Rebecca. I hope our listeners, viewers will read it, and for sure they will empower. Were there any unexpected challenges or surprises during the writing or publishing process of Benito the Brave?
I think the hardest thing, Daniel, is actually the emotional journey, because I was completing the book at the time that my friend was going into hospice, and then she eventually passed several months later. It was actually really challenging to continue the story and see the project through because of a heavy sense of loss and the grief associated with that. And then also revisiting a story that means so much to me and connected me to her. So it was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. And at the same time, because I have so many wonderful friends who I met through my friend Benita and are now great friends today, they took that as an encouragement to help me continue forward. And we continue to keep our friendship and just love each other and carry forward Benita's legacy today. So it has greater meaning than simply a children's story to encourage children. It has a huge amount of meaning to me. So I hope that people will find encouragement from that too.
Are there plans for a sequel or further exploration of Benita's world?
Yes, there is a sequel that I'm sitting on currently that I'm still mulling over what the storyline will be. This one is taking just a little bit longer than the original story came to fruition, and so I want to make sure that I'm doing it justice and still serving Benita's memory and legacy in that as well. But I do have some thoughts around a sequel for Benita that I'm working on, and I have some two or three other stories that I've also put pen to paper. So I'm trying to make sure I'm following my own advice, Daniel, and just starting, not worrying about being perfect.
Definitely, and looking for that sequel or prequel of your Benita the Brave, Miss Rebecca. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please don't listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in its fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101, and Mental Health 101. Love Letters is in third season, and my movie 101 review and music 101 in its fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in each fourth season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Miss Rebecca, if you could have readers discuss one key moment from Benita the Brave, what would it be and why?
Well, there are a lot of great key moments that will help highlight the story. And I believe that it's really towards the ending. So I'll give away a little bit of it. But in being and learning how to be brave, Benita realizes how she can not only be brave for herself, but help others be brave too. And I think that is the ultimate sort of hope when children read this book, is that they will also learn how to take courage and encourage others to be brave too. It's not just about ourselves and self seeking, self serving, but how are we making sure that we're encouraging other people and being that support system for them? So there's a moment towards the end of the book where Benita shows her bravery and she then extends that to other people around her. I won't give too much away. Folks look at the book, but I think they'll know exactly where that moment is when they get to it.
Yes, indeed, Miss Rebecca Vickers. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support Benita the Brave?
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Yes, so where do people can buy your book,
Yes,
Miss?
yes, you can go to Amazon directly. You search for Benita the Brave or my name, Rebecca Vickers. And you can also visit my website, brightheartbooks.org, or visit me on Instagram, the Brightheart Books on Instagram.
Yes, people support Miss Rebecca Vickers because if you support her, for sure, more and more and more Benita the Brave to come. So, Miss Rebecca, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoy reading.
More to come, people. See you soon.